Good morning. If we can have your attention, we'll go ahead and get started. Get all the doors closed and ready to go. Good morning. My name is Phil Bond, privileged to serve as the president of TechAmerica, now the nation's largest advocacy group for the technology industry. We come together this morning for an important briefing on cybersecurity, and I want to thank especially the outstanding companies who have provided panelists for us today in what will be a world-class briefing. I also want to say a special word of thanks to Microsoft, who provided the breakfast for you in the back of the room. We are going to have a very special guest early in our proceedings today, Chairwoman Yvette Clarke. She is running just a little bit behind schedule, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'll give you a brief overview, and I will call my colleague Liesyl Franz up, who will be your moderator. We, of course, live in the information age. Information makes the economy go. It makes government go. It makes our personal lives move better and faster. As companies change their models, as government gets more efficient, as people find new connections online, we change the way we move and store that information that is so critical to our economy and personal lives. As we move or change the way we move and store data, bad guys also are changing the way that they hack and attack. So our job as an industry, in collaboration with policymakers here on Capitol Hill, is to make sure that we stay ahead both with smart technology and smart policy, which is why we're here on Capitol Hill today. This morning you're going to get some excellent briefings. Liesyl, again, will be the moderator. When the Congresswoman shows up, we will interrupt that unlucky presenter, and I will do a brief introduction of the Chairwoman. She'll share some remarks with us, and then we will resume the program. It's my pleasure now to call to the podium Liesyl Franz, who leads our information security program. Some 300 companies out of the 1,500 members of TechAmerica are involved in the information security program. We also, by virtue of an effective merger with the Cybersecurity Industry Alliance, have CEOs from transatlantic cybersecurity companies who are involved with us at TechAmerica to lobby top policymakers both here and in Europe as well. Again, Liesyl, a key part of that. Liesyl will introduce our program today and serve as your moderator. Please join me in welcoming Liesyl Franz.
Thank you very much, Phil. Welcome, everybody, and welcome to the Congressional Visitor Center. Quite a beautiful location, and thank you for being flexible with our making it a little bit more comfortable back there for you. As Phil indicated, we have a very distinguished and expert group of panelists for you today. And it's slightly different than what we normally do at TechAmerica when we're here on Capitol Hill, because we have brought in some very technical experts from companies to share with us the kinds of things they're seeing in cyberspace and how they and their companies address them for their own cybersecurity and for that of their customers and clients. I'll introduce each of them briefly, and then after if the Congresswoman is here, we'll get started with her, and then if not, we'll go ahead and get started, and I appreciate everyone being flexible with our flow here. Our first speaker will be Vinny Gullotto, who's General Manager of the Malware Protection Center for Microsoft. He oversees the company's day-to-day and long-term strategies for protecting customers from viruses, malware, and other security threats. Gullotto and his team are responsible for researching malicious threats and attacks against computer users. Prior to joining Microsoft, he spent several years at McAfee, where he held the position of Vice President of the Antivirus Research and Vulnerability Emergency Response Team, or AVERT. Our second panelist today is Rivner, who is Head of New Technologies, Consumer Identity Protection at RSA. Mr. Rivner is responsible for moving new technologies and innovations from concept to reality. And at RSA, he's played a key role in the development of the division's risk-based authentication and anti-fraud technologies, as well as the RSA e-fraud network. So it's part of that role that Yuri will be sharing with us today. Our third speaker will be John McCumber, who is Strategic Programs Manager at Symantec Corporation. He's currently involved in research and development activities in support of leading-edge government cybersecurity initiatives. He's a retired U.S. Air Force officer and former cryptologic fellow at the National Security Agency. Dr. Eric Cole is Chief Scientist and Senior Fellow for Lockheed Martin. He has responsibility for building and growing teams of multidisciplinary professionals in the application of advanced information technology skills. As Chief Scientist, he leads consulting, research, and development efforts that enhance the state-of-the-art in information system security. I was chatting with Eric just briefly before we got going today, and his description was that he basically moves from team to team, working with each of them to figure out what the problems are and how to solve them quickly. Kristin Lovejoy is Director of IBM's CloudBurst Project Office Corporate Security Strategy at IBM, and she'll round out our panel today. She joined IBM in February of 2007 as part of the leadership team, which was retained after IBM's acquisition of Console Risk Management. She is the executive responsible for IBM's corporate governance, risk, client compliance, and security strategies. So as you can see, we have a very distinguished panel. I didn't read their entire biographies, but those have been provided to you electronically, or you can also check our website if you did not receive them in advance. Again, we look forward to their presentations. If the Congresswoman hasn't arrived, why don't we go ahead and start with Vinny, if you don't mind to be flexible with us. So come on up.